Almost there. It's booting up. Hello and welcome. It's the Marine Conservation Happy Hour. We're a YouTube special, and here we are prepared to do a YouTube live event. And we're going to tell scary, spooky stories because it's Halloween, of course. Dr. Kraken, can you breathe under that mask?
Hello. I feel like I sound like Bane from Batman. Hello, brother.
Well, that is
okay, I'm gonna take this off.
Dr. Kraken. I
Oh.
am Dr. Scarlet Smash. I am your host for the Marine Conservation Happy Hour, and we will talk about marine scary, spooky stories. So let's first start with lighthouses, Dr. Kraken.
So there are many spooky stories related to lighthouses. Lots of stories about the men in lighthouses going mad and ending up murdering each other. And this was very much alluded to in the recent movie called, unsurprisingly, The Lighthouse. And there's actually a scientific reason behind this because it did happen pretty frequently. I mean, these lighthouse keepers were very isolated, away from everyone else, which always can be a bit traumatic. But the lights themselves were sat on top of a big pool of mercury, which helped them. They basically floated on this liquid metal so that the lights could rotate around almost frictionlessly. And this mercury would get contaminated with dust and stuff. And so the lighthouse keepers would have to filter out the mercury with a rag. And of course, there's lots of vapor and they're inhaling it. And mercury is a neurotoxin. And you get
going
Mad Hatter disease. Happened to the Mad Hatter gets his name because they use mercury too. So yeah, there's actually some scientific fact in there that they used to inhale all these mercury fumes and went a little bit doolally and, tended to end up in the lighthouse.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think lighthouses are pretty creepy in general.
They are, but I love lighthouses. I love lighthouses.
It can be romantic, I guess.
Definitely can be romantic.
So go ahead, Dr. Kraken. Tell me about your spooky story about a ship.
Now the spooky story about a ship, the famous Mary Celeste, or rather, it was actually called Mary Celeste. The name Mary Celeste comes from a story by Arthur Conan Doyle, the guy who wrote Sherlock Holmes. He sort of popularized this by writing a little bits of a sort of fanciful article about it. But this was a ship, a brigantine, so a old two-masted merchant ship that was found floating off of the Azores, heading towards the Straits of Gibraltar. And when it was discovered there was no one on board. And it was completely empty. There was no one on board.
What I want to see.
So there was no crew, and the captain had brought his wife and his kid on board. And meals were like half eaten, and it looked as if people had just vanished,
disappeared.
Absolutely disappeared. They had no idea where they had gone to.
Oh my gosh.
And there were lots of theories about why this may have happened. And theories go from like sea monsters and aliens abducting them.
Of course. Oh, I would definitely go to that immediately.
To maybe pirates. A lot of their cargo were basically barrels of industrial alcohol. And there was one idea that maybe the crew had been drinking the alcohol and gone a bit doolally because it was like drinking methanol, again, kind of went crazy. They found some of the barrels were empty, but they wrote that off as the type of wood they were using was very leaky. They found that they had taken apart their pump and taken it into pieces, and there was some water in the hole, but not enough for the ship to sink. So it's a big mystery of what happened. But recent science now thinks that they have got an idea of what did happen.
Ooh, what happened?
Now, some oceanographers and a variety of sort of historians got together and they traced back where the ship had come from with the currents of the time. And it looks like the ship had maybe sailed off of course. They had a lot of coal powder on board the ship, and that could have clogged up their pump, which explains why they took it apart.
Okay.
And they started leaking. But because of all these barrels in the hold, they might not have realized how much they were leaking. They just saw water coming in, the pump was broken, and they were near an island, which they probably thought mistakenly was the Azores, and may have abandoned ship thinking, oh yeah, we can get to this island. However, it was this remote rocky island in the middle of nowhere.
Yikes.
Perhaps got there, realized, oh, we're in the wrong place. The ship has floated away with the winds, and yeah, they will never see it again.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, at least, okay, so my stories do not have explanations. Okay. I love the creepier the better. And eventually we'll actually tell our creepy Halloween stories. But so did you see this new magazine that was out?
Yeah. I need to read that when I'm ever at your place.
Absolutely. I'm going to keep it on my coffee table. Okay. So this has 2 ghost hunters, and they are on the Travel Channel actually. And they were discovering and looking at and exploring a haunted theater. And this theater is in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Okay. And this theater has hauntings. However, this is what's really strange. There was also a ship, the Morro Castle ocean liner, which also sank in 1934, and a fire was on the ship, and 137 people died. And so it actually came onto the ground right next to the theater. And so what they're thinking is that maybe the people that died are also going and wandering into the theater. Very interesting.
As you would, we're on a cruise. This is the entertainment. We, made a port call. Yeah, let's go to the theater.
Yes. Anyways, it sounds like the whole area honestly is haunted. I feel like we definitely need to go and take a look and have a cocktail or few sitting with all the spirits. But
I think we should. I think we should do a ghost hunting trip.
Yes, I will freak out. You know how I am. Okay, so let's talk about our personal ghost stories. Okay, Dr. Kraken, I'm going to tell you one of my creepy ghost stories that I have no explanation for. And then one that I'm just going to say, this was a premonition, okay, which could be ghosty. You never really know. We don't know all their secrets, right? Okay, so I lived in a really crappy apartment, and this was around early college. And everything
you were surrounded by evil spirits in college, for sure.
Totally.
For sure. Some of your ex-boyfriends. Oh.
No, there was no ex-boyfriends that died. That's so weird. Anyway, so okay, I would walk into the bedroom and things in the living room would fall off the table. I would literally place a penny on the table, and I would look to see if the penny was still there, and it would always move. Things would always clump around, and I would constantly have nightmares, literally nightmares during the night. And it was only this one room that I didn't occupy. It was like just an extra room, and I had a plant there in the corner, and there was no wind. There was no, the AC unit was not on or anything like that. And the branches would move sometimes, just randomly move. all the time when I would hear creepy, crawly things. Okay, it gets better. I'm done. I want to get out of this apartment. I actually did. I moved on to base after that. I was like, oh, heck no, I'm not doing it. One, there were multiple deaths in that apartment building. Okay, so we don't know who stayed and lingered, but there were multiple deaths in that apartment building. In the one next to me, someone was vanished and there was blood all over the laundry room. So we're not really sure what happened to that person. No explanation, just blood splattered everywhere. So there was one person that died upstairs above me, and then there was another person on the side that died across the hallway. Okay, who knows? Okay, all right. So I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to be in here. I'm done with this. My bestie was like, you know what? You're being ridiculous. Let me come over. It's fine. I'm going to prove to you everything is perfectly fine. You're being ridiculous. Okay. So he came over and he was like, I'm going to sleep in that room. So then you know everything's okay and it's no big deal. I said, okay, great. I haven't slept in forever. So this is awesome. So I'm going to my bedroom and I'm like, yay, everything's fine. And I'm sleeping. And the next thing I know, in the middle of the night, of course, there's like always little thumps and bumps and stuff like that. I look down on the ground and there he is on the floor, curled up in a fetal position with no pillow, no blanket, no nothing. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he looked at me and he said, holy crap, something grabbed me in that room and you got to get out of here. And I was like, yep. And I moved. I totally moved not long after that. I was like, done. Okay, so your turn.
Oh my goodness, I have a few stories, but yeah, sort of along those lines. I was at my sister's house, and she has this old farmhouse in Northern Ireland, which she always says is spooky and haunted and so on. She says that she sees people walking through the walls and all sorts of things. So I wasn't actually staying in the house, but I was staying in like a little cottage at the bottom of the hill that they sometimes let out for guests. And so I was in there, lying down in bed, and then suddenly there was like this really heavy weight on me. And oh wow, it's really weird. It woke me up, and it just felt like there was a gigantic cat or something, or a big dog that was sitting on me. I couldn't move.
Oh my gosh.
And I woke up and I couldn't sleep properly. And I went up to the house on top of the hill and saw my sister for breakfast. And she said, oh, did you meet Fred? And
oh my gosh, she had a name for it. Fred. Okay, I do love the name Fred. I that's funny that you say that. The plant that moved in my spooky story was named Fred.
Of course. So I said, Fred. Oh yeah, it's the cottage is supposed to be haunted. And I said, well, there was something weird. And then she said, he likes to sit on people in bed.
Stop.
Oh, and that really freaked me. That really freaked. I mean,
I am going to be in the hotel. Sorry, I'm not staying here anymore, sis. I love you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So
that is so creepy. And you want me to go visit?
Oh yeah. Well, they've sold that little cottage, so the haunted cottage is gone now. But apparently, there's plenty of other ghosts in the house.
That is
so yeah. So that's one of them. Apparently, Fred is a pretty nice ghost. He just has this habit of sitting on people. That's all. He doesn't do anything
like a cat.
Mean, like a cat, really. So it's like having a big Irish dog sitting on you.
I know, right? A big Irish dog, big man.
Yeah. Although I did swap rooms with my dad that night. So
see, I told you I would do the same thing. All right. So my premonition, you never know how spirits will contact you. Well, mine always contact me through dreams, always, like constantly.
Oh, you were here and you sat bolt upright screaming, saying
Oh,
there
yeah.
was someone at the end of the bed
Oh,
staring
all
at
the
you.
time. I'm constantly getting people, like, actually it was 2 days ago that they were very, very like moving around and had to talk and lots of things. And I was like, so much going on. I can't handle this. Anyways, point is, so I was sleeping, and when in my dream, I woke up. Now, again, it might have been me actually waking up in my dream and having these really strange, like, night terrors, right? And I looked at the end of the bed and I was like, Nana, what are you doing here? And she just stared at me. And then the phone rang. And this was in the middle of the night. And I heard my mom talk on the phone, and she came in. And I'm looking and I'm like, where did wow, that was a dream or whatever. And my mom walks into the room and she says, Ashley. And I looked at her and I said, Nana died. And that was exactly the call. She came to me before I got the news. And I'm honestly happy that she came to me before I got the news, honestly, because it was like, I saw her for the last time. So anyways, that was my ghosty, my ghosty actual real experience with one of my ancestors.
I had something a little bit similar. So I went out to the bathroom in the middle of the night and came back, and then just hit this sort of big cold spot as I was walking back to the room. And it was just really weird. I mean, it wasn't like scary. It was a little eerie.
It must have been the one that was haunting me when I sat up in your room.
Well, I walked in and I was going to say to my wife, I think there's a ghost in the hall, because you'd had that experience. And I said, you know what? She goes, what? Oh, no, it doesn't matter, because
No.
she's really rational. She would just give me grief and say, you and Ashley, a bunch of crazies. But then I found out the following morning that my uncle had passed away during the night. So I kind of wish I'd just told her to be that sort of empirical evidence.
I know, yeah. I know. Mm-hmm. That's so crazy. Well, this has been a blast, and I'm so excited. I got to get ready. I'm leaving to go to a haunted tavern, but
I'm so jealous. We have a haunted tavern that we're going to a little bit later on, but I'm so jealous. We had so much fun in that haunted forest, didn't we?
Oh,
when we went there.
So exciting. But we thank everyone for watching our YouTube specials. Please subscribe. Please like us.
Please go to patreon.com/marine conservation. If every listener and every YouTube watcher just gave us $1, one Wafferthin dollar a month.
A year, we would still be better.
Oh, yeah. We would be, we'd be able to do this full time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and spooky, scary stories. Bye-bye.
Wahaha.